This is the practice Excel exam, and the actual exam is going to look very similar. First, you have to download both files that I sent you. One is a Word document that gives the instructions, and the second one is this Excel spreadsheet, which I have opened up here. Practice Excel.xls. There's several stages or steps in this, and the first one is various computations of salary. The spreadsheet in general shows the salary of a whole bunch of salespeople. We're going to calculate commissions and total salary and salesperson's valuation based on that. And then we're going to compute average total salary, highest total salary, and lowest total salary. We also want to do various formatting options. So the first step is, if you look in the top corner in cell A1, it says expert software company, and we would like this centered. But if we just center it in this cell, it's going to center it in this cell all the way hugging the top left corner. We want it to be in the center of a series of cells so that it's centered in the middle of the spreadsheet. So what we're going to do is we will, one moment, yes, we're going to highlight, as it says over here, center and merge expert software company across cells A1 through F1. So I'm going to click and drag from A1 through F1, and then if I look at the top in terms of formatting, we have a line left, center, a line right, and then you have merge and center. So we click on this icon, and now expert software company is centered across all of these cells. More formatting within this step 1. We want to change its font to size 16, and well, let's first do that. So here we have font size 10. We choose the drop-down list and we choose font size 16. Now if you look, the words expert software company, the top of it is a little bit off the top of the spreadsheet. So we're going to actually have to resize the row, and that's going to be the last part of this first step. But before we get to that, we want to change the font size to 16. We want to change the font color to dark blue. So we have an icon here in the corner that says font color. Right now the default font color is red. If we choose from the drop-down list next to the font color, we click on this down arrow, and we'll have a bunch of different colors, and we move to the one that says dark blue when you hover over it and you click that. And now the words expert software color are dark blue. The next step is to make the background color of this cell yellow. So right next to it, by default it's probably going to be a fill color of yellow, but just in case, there's a drop-down list. And you could choose no fill, or you could choose all kinds of different colors, and we want to hover over yellow and then click on it. And now we have a background color of yellow. And the final step is we want to change the height of row 1. See, this is row 1. We want to change it to 25 because the words expert software company are a little bit off the top. So if we move the mouse in between rows 1 and 2, and then click and drag, it will tell us how many pixels it's resizing the row to. So I'm going to click, and right now it says height of, let's say 14.25. As I drag down, it's eventually going to become 24, and then 25, and it might go to 25.5. That'll also be fine. You let go. And here we have expert software company, and that's the with a big enough row height. So that's the end of step 1. The next thing we want to do is compute a bunch of functions. So as they say here, we might have to adjust column widths where necessary, and we're going to use functions when necessary. It doesn't tell you exactly what formulas to type in, but we're going to enter the formulas to fill in the cells according to the following. So a bunch of these numbers, if we, I'm scrolling down right here, we have something called commission percentages. So we have total sales less than 50,000 is 3%. Total sales greater than or equal to 50,000 is 4%. And a commission threshold of 50,000. What that means is that if they have total sales of less than 50,000, so you just take 3% of their sales, and that's their commission. But if they happen to make sales of greater than 50,000 or equal to 50,000, that means they're a very good salesmen. So we want to reward them, and we give them an extra percentage point. It's 4% instead. And this threshold of 50,000 is not really based on this number that's in this label here in cell A24 or A25. There's a separate thing called commission threshold, which has a value of 50,000 over here. Where it hits 50,000, that's where we're going to be transitioning from 3% to 4%. So in all of the formulas that we talk about here, we're not going to actually use the actual magic numbers of 3%, 4%, and 50,000. Instead, we're going to refer to these cells in the formula. And if you recall, when we refer to cells like this in the formula, since we don't want to, when dragging the formula to other cells, we don't want them to we don't want them to change. In other words, going, for example, from B24 to B25 to B26, etc. as you drag down, we're going to use an absolute reference by using dollar signs in front of both the letter and the number component of the cell reference. So let's scroll up here, and we just know, by the way, that it's cell it's cell B24, B25, and B26. And we'll scroll down and click, and that's how we'll apply it. I'm going to, I guess, write the formula first for cell D17, and then I can drag it up, in fact. So now we're up to step 2, and we want to find, first of all, the commission. The commission is in column D. The over here is labeled commission. So let's try to write the commission for Adam Smith. So the salesperson's commission is based on their total sales. If, and the word if is bolded, if the salesperson's total sales are greater than or equal to 50,000, then the commission is the total sales multiplied by the commission percentage of 4%. Otherwise, which is kind of like the word else, in other words, the total sales is less than 50,000, then the commission is the total sales multiplied by the commission percentage of 3%. For example, if the total sales are 35,000, then the commission is $1,050. So let's just look. We have here the base salary, and here's the total sales. So total sales is in column B. So if we want to write a formula for this, we have a question if something is true or if it's not true. So we want to use the function if. It was a big hint that the word if was bolded. So I'm going to type in now the following formula: equals if. And then I'm going to have an open parentheses, and then it will give me advice that the first piece of information it wants is the logical test. And the logical test is whether the value in B17, in other words, this 100,000 that the person made in sales, is that greater than or equal to 50,000. But I don't want to use 50,000 because, as I said, that value could change, and I want my spreadsheet to change if I decide to change my mind that the commission threshold should be 60,000 instead. So instead, I'm going to now click on the cell B26, which has this 50,000 on it. Now it says if B17 is greater than or equal to B26. And remember, we want to use absolute references for B26. So I'm going to press F4 once, and that changes it to $B $26. But it's still referring to the value of 50,000. Now I'm going to type comma because I'm done with the logical test. Then the next thing we want is the value if it's true. That means the value if it actually is, if that test whether it's greater than 50,000, if that's true. So we said what that value is. That value is going to be the sales, this 100,000, this B17 again, times, so shift 8, that asterisk, the star means times, and then we want the value of the percentage that we're going to multiply by, and that is 4%. But again, we're not going to actually type 4%. We're going to click in cell B25, which has the 4% there, and so let's click here, and now it says B25, but once again I want to have an absolute reference to it so that the B25 doesn't change as I drag it to the side or down or up or etc. And then I'm going to press F4 once to change it to absolute references. So it's $B $25. So much for the first part, the value if true. We also want the value if false. So I'm going to type a comma, and now we're up to the value if false. And once again, this is the total sales, which is the $100,000. So it's B17 once again. And times, that's the star, times the 3%. So we click here on 3%, which is in B24. And once again, I change it to an absolute reference by typing the F4 key. I could have edited it by hand, but if I wanted to. And then I'm going to close the parentheses. So there's the closed parentheses. And then I'm going to type enter. And it gives me a calculated value of 4,000, which makes sense because 100,000 times 4% is 4,000. The next step, I just scrolled up a little bit, is see the commission. Right, they say see the commission percentages table in the salary worksheet. Remember to use the percentages cell address in your formula rather than the percentages actual numeric value. Remember to use the commission threshold cell address in your formula rather than the actual numeric value of 5,000. So that calculated the commission for one person. We want to apply this to everybody. So I'm going to now click in cell D17, and then I want to apply this formula to all of the other ones, to all of the other cells in column D. So the way that I'm going to do this is by, well, there's two ways. I could either use the drag handle by moving to the bottom of cell B17, then clicking and dragging all the way up. Or alternatively, I could just press Control-C to copy this 4,000, and then highlight all of the cells I want to paste it to, and then Control-V to paste, and it will apply it to all of the other cells. So that's going to give me the commission. The next thing we want to calculate is total salary in column E. Right over here, it says total salary. The total salary is basically the base salary plus the commission. So this is a very simple thing to calculate. What we're going to do is it's simply it's a very simple formula. You don't. We're going to say click in one of the cells. Let's say cell E4, and we're going to type equals, and then we're going to click on base salary, which is 35,000 for these first people, and then I'm going to say plus, and I'm going to add to their base salary the commission that they made. So I'm going to click on commission, which is D4. So C4 plus D4. And since I'm going to be dragging these formulas, I don't want any of these things to be absolute references. I'm going to press enter at this point, and we get 38,920 for John Adams. Then I want to apply the same formula for everybody. So I'll click here in cell E4, and then I'll move to the bottom of the cell so that I get the drag handle, and I'll click and drag, and now I have calculated their total salary. The next thing we want to do is the salesperson's evaluation. The salesperson's evaluation is in cell F4. So in cell F4, let's click in here. So the values that we want, let's scroll down a little bit actually in here, and we have evaluation criteria. If it's 0 to 25,000, it's poor. If it's 25,000 to $1 less or a penny less than 50,000, it's fair. If it's 50,000 up to, but not including 75,000, is good. And if it's 75,000 or above, it's excellent. So we have here a table, and we want to do a vertical table lookup. So that's a formula called VLOOKUP, which I covered in class, but you could look up for more information on it in the book. And it's relatively simple. I'm going to again do this for Adam Smith because it's closer to it in the spreadsheet, so it's going to be less scrolling. I'm going to click in cell F17, and I'm going to say as follows. It might be easier here to use the insert function icon, but we don't need to. I could actually type this in by hand. So that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to type it in by hand. I'm going to type equals v lookup, and then I put in open parentheses, and then we're going to ask for the evaluation criteria. Now, how do we evaluate this? We're going to base this on the salesperson's total sales. We're not evaluating it on his commission or his total amount earned. It's based on his total sales. So in other words, this the value in column B, which in this case for Adam Smith is 100,000. So we're going to use the lookup value here of 100,000 for Adam Smith as B17. We want the relative value, not the absolute value, because remember we're going to drag this formula and we want to apply it to other rows. So we're going to leave B17 here. That's the lookup value. I type comma. The next thing it wants is the table array. The table array is this 0 to 75,000. So I'm going to click and drag to highlight cells E24 through F27. So now it says E24 colon F27. And for this, I actually want it to be absolute values, because I don't want to drag it and apply it to other tables moving to the side as I drag the formula. So I'm going to press F4, and it changes everything to absolute references. It's $E, $24, colon, $F, $27. The next thing I'm going to type comma. It asks next for the column index number, and the column index number is column 2. In other words, the second column of this table, which is poor, fair, good, or excellent. So I'm going to type 2, I'm going to end the parentheses, and I'm going to press enter, and it says that Adam Smith is excellent. Now I want to apply this same formula to everybody else. So I'm going to click here on excellent in F17. I'm going to move the mouse to the bottom corner, so I get the drag pointer, and I'm going to click and drag to apply all the way up to John Adams, and I'm going to let go, and now I have everybody's evaluation. So much for evaluation. Next, we want to have statistics about everybody in general. So we want to have the average total salary. So to calculate the average total salary, well, what's total salary? Total salary is the values in column E from E4 to E17. So what I would like to do is I'm going to click in average total salary, and I'm going to type in a formula equals average, open parentheses, and then I'm going to click and select the range from E4 to E17. And then I'm going to close the parentheses and press enter. And here I got an average salary of $44,536. Assuming I calculated everything else correct, then this value would be correct here. Next we want the highest total salary. Who has the biggest salary? And the answer to this is presumably Adam Smith, who made $100,000 in sales, and it was added to $50,000 base salary, so he has $54,000. But if we want to calculate it, because we might change these values a little bit later, we're going to type equals max. Remember, max is the maximum or the highest value. So equals max, open parentheses, and I select the same range, E4 to E17, and then I close the parentheses, and I press enter, and I get this 54,000. And finally, I want the lowest total salary, so I'm going to click in cell E21, I'm going to type equals min for minimum, open parentheses, and then I'm going to select all of these cells from E4 to E17 and close the parentheses, and then I get 35,660 as that. So that's the end of step 2. Step 3 is to format all new numeric values to currency with 0 decimal places. For example, 12.1 should be formatted as $12. So the only new dollars, the new numbers that we have here is in the commission, in the commission column. In other words, column D, from D4 to D17. So we're going to click and drag to select cells D4 through D17, and then we want to change the formatting. So we choose the Format menu, Format Cells, and we want to change this to currency. And the currency we want would be, they have a sample of a bunch of dollars and cents, but we have 2 decimal places afterwards, so we choose the drop down. We use this not drop down, but these down arrows next to where it says decimal places 2, and go down 2 spots, and now it says decimal places 0, and then we say OK, and now all of the numbers have been formatted like that. That was the end of step 3. Step 4 is to insert a row between rows 9 and 10 and type in your name as the salesperson in this new row. So here is 9 and 10, Carson, Kit, and Coulter, Sarah. So we want to enter in a new row there. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to click in cell on the 10, the row 10. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say insert, and it inserted a new row 10 for me, which is empty. Then I'm going to click in cell A10 and I'm going to type Waxman, comma, Joshua. But it actually, in your case, it would be your own name. And enter 92,000 for the total sales. So total sales should be 92, comma, 1,000. And notice it automatically puts the dollar sign for you there. And then we want to put $50,000 for the base salary. So we type $50,000. And then it calculates for us already the commission, the total salary, and excellent. And it also recalculates the average total salary and leaves the highest and lowest salary alone. So that was step 4. Step 5 is to press the save button to save the spreadsheet. So let's save that. And finally, copy the entire salary worksheet to sheet 2 and rename sheet 2 to sorted. So we want to copy the entire salary worksheet. One way we could do that is by clicking in cell A1 and dragging down until we get to the bottom of F28, and then everything has been selected. We press Control-C to copy, and then we move. Right now we have we have a sheet 2. We'll just click on the tab for sheet 2 here on the bottom, and then I'll paste it by pressing Control-V. And here we have an identical spreadsheet, except it didn't format it exactly the same in terms of the fact that this column A is not as wide as we would like it. So we're going to double click between A and between A and B columns. We'll double click on it and it'll resize it. We might want to move it, drag it over a little bit more. And we're going to drag over also, let's say, commission, to make it also a little bit wider so the word commission is on a single line. And salesperson's evaluation, we'll also drag it over a little bit so that we have all of those data there. And finally, we want to rename sheet 2 to sorted. So we're going to double click on the word sheet 2 on this tab on the bottom, and we'll type in sorted. And I'm going to then save. Now we would like to sort the table within this sheet within our general workbook. So we're up to the portion of the test that says sorted, underlined in bold. They say to sort the entire list of salespersons by sorting the total salaries in descending order. So in other words, we have all of these salespeople from A4 down to A18. So what we're going to do is we're going to click and drag and select the entire table from A4 down to F18, because we don't just want to sort the salespeople, we want to sort all of the details of the salespeople. So we highlight this entire range, and then we go to Data as the menu. There's the Data menu on the top, and the first option on the Data menu is Sort ... We click Sort ... It brings up this dialog box and it says sort by, and you can choose sort by salesperson, and if you click on the drop-down list, you can sort by salesperson, total sales, base salary, commission, total salary, or salesperson's evaluation. They tell us to sort by total salaries, so that's this one over here, total salary, and we want descending order, so we change the radio box from ascending to descending. And then you click OK. And here we now are sorting in descending order with Adam Smith with 100,000 on the top, and presumably your name should be second. I have here Waxman Joshua with 92,000 in total sales, and total salary is the second amount. So now that we finished sorting this, we're going to save, and that's the end of this portion of the exercise of the test. Next, we're going to click. We're on the chart portion of the test, so we're going to click on the worksheet tab named Chart on the bottom here, Chart. And here we have something that says Place the Chart here. That's where we're going to eventually place the chart. And then we have we have this table with various pieces of information about word processing cells in New York and Boston, Miami, and Denver, spreadsheet cells in New York, Boston, Miami, and Denver, etc. So we're going to click the Worksheet tab named Chart. We did that. We're going to use cells A3 through E4 to form a pie chart with 3D visual effect. So A3 is word processing. Oops, is this empty spot over here, through E4, which is right over here, A3 through E4. So you see what they had you select here is the word processing data for New York, Boston, Miami, and Denver. They don't have you select, for example, spreadsheets, database, or total. We're just looking at the word processing data. So we're really looking at a single data series, the series of word processing data for each of these locations. So we're going to select those cells first, and then we're going to form a pie chart with a 3D visual effect. The way that we do this is we look for the icon that says create a chart. It should be next to where it says a zoom level of 100%, so right next to it is a drawing icon, and right next to it is a chart wizard. If we click on this chart wizard, so that's going to launch the chart wizard. And the chart type, we have column, bar, line, pie. We'll select pie as the type of chart, and we want a pie with 3D visual effect. So here we have a pie with 3D visual effect. And then we are done with this part, so we could press and hold to view the sample just to see what whether we like it, and it seems pretty good. We have New York, Boston, Miami, and Denver, all together word processing data. So next we're going to click on Next, and then we specify the data range. That's fine. The series is in the rows as opposed to the columns. And we're going to show the value for data labels. So here, if we click on Next, so then you have Chart Wizard step 3 of 4. You have data labels, and so under data labels, you could say label contains series name, category name, value, or percentage. So we're going to click on value, and here now there are little arrows pointing to each of the slivers of the pie, with explaining what that value actually is. And now we're going to click on Next, and we're going to place this as an object within Chart. Chart meaning this tab, this sheet within our general workbook. So we're going to click on Finish now. And now we have word processing as an object over here. But we're not supposed to keep it over here. We're supposed to place the chart here. So what we'll do is I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to now click and drag to place the chart in the predefined spot. Now it still is not, it doesn't fill the entire area that they specify. So I'm going to go now to the resize label in the bottom corner here. There's little boxes around every single corner over here. So I'm going to go to the bottom corner, and I'm going to click and drag to resize the chart to be exactly the size specified, and then I'll let go. And here we now have our word processing chart as requested. And now we save. So much for the chart section. The final section is payment, PMT. This is a function, a financial function we discussed in one of the exercises in class. It's to calculate the payments that you need to make on a loan, for example. So we're going to click on the Worksheet tab labeled Payment. And here we have the price of car, the manufacturer's rebate, the down payment, the amounts to finance, the interest rate, the term in terms of years, and the monthly payment. So if we want to, so now we want to enter a formula in cell B7 using the payment function to calculate the monthly payment. So again, you could use this fx function that we had, this button, to insert a function, or alternatively we can type in the value directly. So this is probably complicated enough that it would help you to click on this. insert function, so I'm going to do that for you here. And we're going to choose financial functions, and we're going to scroll down within financial functions until we find PMT. And then we click OK. So now, it asks for the rate. The rate we have as B5. See, the interest rate yearly. So we're going to click on this. But if you recall, this is the interest rate per period for the loan, as it says in the explanation here. So the period for the loan is, since we're having monthly payments, if we see in cell A7 it says monthly payments, so it actually, we would want to divide this 8%, or this B5, by 12, because it's 12 months in a year, and that was the yearly rate, we want the monthly rate. So B5 divided by, that's the slash next to the shift, divided by 12. Next, we're going to click on the next value here, the N per, that's the number of total payments for the loan. So the number of total payments for the loan is the term in years, that's B6, which is going to have the value 4 for us. So it's B6 times 12, because you're paying every month, so that's a total of 12 months. So that's going to give us a 48 as the total number of payments. PV stands for present value, the present value of the loan. And you could actually calculate the future value from it, or various other things like that. But here, the present value of the loan is going to be equal to what we have as amount to finance, how much you need to borrow, which we have as $9,999 in cell B4. So we're going to click on B4 here. And that, 9999, so now that's the end of the of calculating the payment function. So we're going to click on OK, and the formula result is $244.10. And it's in parentheses and it's in red because that's the formatting that they do for negative numbers. And since you owe this money, that's the negative number. The next thing, finally, we want to perform a goal seek. Because we can't necessarily pay $244.10, we'd rather pay $200 a month. So now that we have all these formulas in place, we can't modify various things. We can modify the price of the car. And by modifying the price of the car, we'll then modify the amounts to finance, which is in cell B4, because remember, B4 is a calculated value. It's B1 minus B2 minus B3. But if we have B1 as the price of the car, we can figure out how big of a car, how expensive a car we could buy, which is going to give us an amount of finance which will be somewhat normal, which will then give us a monthly payment of $200 in cell B7. So we click in cell B7, and we choose the data menu. We choose the tools menu, and you have to choose the goal seek option, goal seek ... You might have to use the drop down arrow to show all of the various options, but then you click on goal seek ... And then we want to set cell B7, that's correct, to value negative 200. Negative 200 because it's a payment that's going out. So it's money that you owe. So we're going to set that to negative 200 by changing cell. So we're going to click on where it says by changing cell, and we'll click in cell B1. And then we'll click OK. And then they found a value of $12,192 for the price of the car, and similarly they found an amount to finance, which was what we wanted to calculate, of in cell B4 of $8,192. So we click OK, and now we click Save,